Hey.
It looks wild. This guy right here too. You want to check him out? His name's ThrabenU. ThrabenU. He's got a ton of magic
However good you
content.
think this card is right now, it's actually better than that.
It's actually better than that.
Hello folks, Phil Gallagher aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video, and I've finally gotten a hold of a playset of the One Ring on Magic Online, which let me tell you was a little bit tricky because they are about 150 ticks, $150 right now on Magic Online. Yes, more than the paper version.
That's why I play
This is
cockatrice.
the Chase Mythic of the set, and it is going to live up to its
I
name.
don't buy digital cards.
Let's kind of talk about a few things about this card. Number one, it is indestructible, so it's hard to take off the battlefield. Number
Correct.
two, when it enters the battlefield, if you cast it, so you can't just blink it forever, if you cast it, you gain protection from everything until your next turn. At the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 1 life for each burden counter on the One Ring, and you can tap and put a burden counter on it to draw a card. So, kind of the idea is you play this, you get protection from creatures for an entire turn. No combat damage being dealt to you, no burn spells going at your face,
So
no
you can
discard spells
technically
missing
lose
with
a
you
bunch of life
for a turn.
for the
And I
the
don't want to say
pickup
that
burden
casting this is
counters.
time walk because that's not entirely accurate, but a lot of times it's going to feel like it. And
Time
let's get
walk, if I'm correct, is just take an extra turn,
into some rules minutia for
which is
just
banned
a
in
second
Legacy.
here. Note that
It's
the
a
life
blue card,
loss
pay 2 mana.
occurs at your upkeep, okay? The life loss is not immediately linked to drawing a card, and we're going to circle back to that in just a minute. I think a lot of people, when they first saw this card, started going down the route of bouncing it in some way. So
You can cast spells only any time they can cast a sorcery. Until your next turn, you may cast sorcery spells with the flash. Return up to one target artifact. Oh. So he's talking about bouncing probably
that they can
the
recast
ring.
it. And in both Modern and Legacy, we're starting to see these Teferi Time Raveler decks that will go and bounce the One Ring so that you can recast it. So a lot of the decks that are going in that direction are playing Delighted Halfling, which can be used to cast both Teferi and the One Ring uncounterably. But we're not going to be playing with any filthy blue mana today. I was challenged to play the best One Ring deck that I could come up with by an anonymous donor who is throwing down $20 per win that I get today and $50 if I manage to do the full 5-0 sweep. So what I want to do is untap the One Ring rather than bounce it, okay? So my idea is tap, draw a card, use that to find a bunch of artifact mana, and then repeatedly untap the One Ring with Manifold Key. And Manifold Key and friends are going to play very well.
Okay. So Manifold Key, you can untap the artifact. Pay 1.
of artifact mana and then repeatedly untap the One Ring with Manifold Key. And Manifold Key and friends are going to play very well with cards like Grim Monolith and
No, I won't
Basalt
be going through
Monolith
this whole
that
video
make
like
a
this.
bunch of mana but normally don't untap. We're going to skip that stage entirely. And in fact, we're going to draw upon a broken and banned commander card, Paradox Engine, in order to really crank this deck to 11 and see what it can do. So we're going to try to play a dedicated One Ring combo deck today. Let's take a look and see what that's going to look like.
So he's going to cast Emrakul.
Now, today's video is sponsored by both Cool Stuff Inc. and Moxfield.com. If you end up wanting to try out any of these cards in paper, promo code ThrabenU will save
I was
you
like,
5%
there's
on
only
your order
he has
at
to
Cool
win
Stuff
the
Inc.
game by drawing
So I grabbed
cards
this
and
list
creating
off
mana.
of Punishing Waterfall's Twitter.
So
for those of you who've been around Legacy for a long time, Mystic Forge combo has always kind of been this deck that has been floating around like tier 2 of the format since Mystic Forge was printed. It's always been a little bit short of just kind of having enough raw power and consistency to be a real tournament player. A couple of dedicated pilots have gone and done well with it, but outside of that, it's not great. So we're going to be playing a lot of artifact mana today with the hope of quickly getting to one of 4 options. The One Ring, Mystic Forge, Karn the Great Creator, or just doing the whole Urza Saga thing that we're used to being nice and broken. And there's one rules interaction that is really important to know, so I think I'm going to just show you this in action rather than explain it. So this is turn 3 of a practice game here. And I have a billion mana. I've got the Paradox Engine in play, so every single time that I get to cast a spell, I get to go and untap all my permanents, which means that I can just make a disgusting amount of mana and put approximately a billion decounters on the One Ring. So in the fringe scenario where I somehow would not be able to win the game this turn, something that you can do is the One Ring is a legendary artifact, meaning that you can cast a new one and then legend rule it, keep the one without any burden counters.
oh, that's
super
dirty.
important to the construction of this
That
deck
is
because if
dirty.
you don't know like this interaction, you're going to kill yourself sometimes where you just kind of fizzle mid combo. By the way, in case you didn't see the turn counter there, that was turn 3 that I was just popping off that hard with, you know, basically infinite mana, infinite card draw, do anything that I wanted to win. Looking at the deck one last time here, the sideboard is kind of unexciting. It's the traditional Karn the Great Creator sideboard package that you are expecting, with the exception that we do have the 4th. Yes, we are really running 4 copies of Paradox Engine in a Legacy deck. Couple of ways we can win here. Number 1, we can just cast an Emrakul, and this is also something that exists so that we can discard it to hand size and shuffle our and flash graveyard back into our library if things get a little bit weird. But this is surprisingly hard castable in this deck, and I wouldn't be surprised if we cast one on like turn 2 or turn 3 at some point in this league just from all the fast mana that we have. Number 2, we can get the Mycosynth Lattice Karn the Great Creator kill, and then we can just Karn plus on any old artifact to kill our opponent at that point, or we can just make a giant walking ballista and shoot our opponent point in this league just from all the fast mana that we have. Number 2, we can get
So your next turn.
the Mycosynth Lattice Karn the Great Creator kill, and then we can just Karn plus on any old artifact to kill our opponent at that point, or we can just make a giant walking ballista and shoot our opponent with a construct laser. And that's in addition to just the regular old Urza Saga beats. Final thing that I want to say here, in case you're not familiar with this one, we also do have Urza's Workshop. We are not a dedicated Urzatron deck, so like this isn't going to make crazy amounts of mana, but as the game drags on, this may end up being a soul land or better in some instances. Although honestly, we're hoping to kill our opponents quick and not drag the game on. All right, let's battle. We've got. All right, my
I
first
want to
opening
see a
hand here
couple
just has no initial mana source, so is
matches
an
of this.
auto mulligan.
Mystery Muted?
Workshop, Opal,
No.
Petal, Key. Opal is on. Defense Grid is a follow-up play, but I have no gas, and I can't get to 4 mana either. I think I would rather go to 5 than keep this. This hand doesn't actually do anything.
You know what it could be?
To 4?
No, my stream's not muted.
This will be a respectable 4-card hand, and I just have to decide
that was at
how
the
I'm
beginning
going
when
to
I
play
started.
it.
Oh, okay.
So, like, we could go 1, 2, 3, 4, and lean in on the 1 ring.
Gotcha.
Or I can go like 1, 2, 3, 3 artifact 4 and try to play a double Urza Saga game. The Urza Saga game can't even cast the defense grid reasonably, so that's awkward. I'm going to try to keep the 1 ring hand and hope that it improves. I am going to lead on Urza Saga and pass. I don't know what my opponent's playing, so I don't know if I need to like not play this out for Prismatic Ending or if I need to play that out for some other purpose. All right, against a random blue land here,
I'm hopping on and
it may be better for me to go ahead and slow roll the 1 ring.
Just waiting for my food to
rather
cook,
than just immediately jam it into every piece of counter magic known to mankind. Yeah, this is not maybe a strong start here. If my opponent is randomly playing something like Dress Down, it will super disrupt what I've got going on. Alright, so they're just playing around a Pithing Needle there. That is perfectly reasonable. If my opponent pausing here, they probably have something like a Swords to Plowshares that they're thinking about using. I am, I think, just going to pick up a Mox Opal for some mana stability here to make it easier to cast the 1 ring. If I get a 1 ring into play, I already have a way to untap it. I am okay just casting this to grow this to a 5/5. I don't think I'm going to try to cast the 1 ring this turn. Let's just see if we can crack in for 5. Oh man, it's going to be a Terminus. Ooh. Alright. Opponent's on 14, but I think I'm about to eat a horrific 2-for-1. Oh no, not Terminus. Hell yeah. Alright, what's going on then? Oh. This is much more tame than what I was expecting. Yeah, let's try to put some more artifacts in play. Let's go 2, 3, Assault Monolith. That got a Force of Negation. Pitching Supreme Verdict. Wow. I only have 3 mana, so I can't cast the 1 ring this turn. Let's just go ahead and crash on in there then. Opponent soaks up some damage. They're technically dead on board, but I imagine our opponent has something to say about that. Like, they pitched a Supreme Verdict, so surely they have something else to do, or a second Supreme Verdict or something, right? Yeah, okay.
A second Supreme Verdict.
So I am now hoping that my 1 ring does resolve. I will... I don't need to play around days, right? Like, I would love to play a different land drop, but I don't want to lose Metalcraft immediately. Alright. If this works, I should be fine anyway, right? But let's attempt the 1 ring. Oof. So this does kind of punish me for playing the City of Traitors. Yeah, my opponent needed Supreme Verdict and both of those counterspells, I think. Oh, F. Literal miracle, right? There was a fetch in between that brainstorm.
I haven't seen that card.
Yeah, so my opponent has a 2-turn clock now, so I'm just fully at the mercy of the top of my deck here. I need my next card to be a Mystic Forge or a 1 ring for me to attempt to pop off. Alright, yep. so there's copying an angel for just a little bit more damage. I will eat 12, go to 8, and a prismatic ending on Mox Opal is not great for me. Alright, so my opponent still has to kind of go offensive. I think I just want some raw cards, and my opponent would need a
I just want to see him
maximize
if
my
he can win.
value. Calling it a turn there.
Cut the cable with
Ah,
Fios
these
Home
stupid
Internet.
ads.
Cut your internet bill to just $25 a month.
I finally cut
Oh,
the
you might
cable,
get on
switched to
nice.
Fios Home Internet.
Yeah, we just have a gargantuan threat with a card draw engine and the
Just wanna
ability
see
to
him
make
win and
2
then,
more constructs very
Or
quickly.
what this deck is going to do.
Voltaic Key. I'm just going to assume
I already understand
that
how
kind
it's
of just
played now.
scanning this, that this is a keep. We'll just pitch the Emrakul.
It just seems like it's a
Oh,
big
this
glass
is-
cannon.
Turn 1, just Voltaic Key pass. Turn 2, the One Ring some portion of the time. This is not turn 1, the One Ring, right? Ancient Tomb, Voltaic Key, Mox Opal, that, 3 mana. Do I need Ancient Tomb this turn? I don't think I need that this turn. And I think I ignore this life to not just immediately play things out into Meltdown. Okay, there's a prismatic ending. It's a little inconvenient because now I have to use Lotus Petal to do a thing this turn. So I'll cast this. I think Mystic Forge is the bait spell here. Mox Opal is currently pretty awkward. Alright, we're hitting a brainstorm in response.
Brainstorm.
Are we resolving?
Just seeing if you can grab a Force of
We
Will.
are not resolving. We got a Teferi, though, for our value, which is pretty good.
Cast Force of Will.
We're looking to draw any land next turn to play the One Ring. Alright, there's a Teferi just chilling. We're fine with that, bouncing our One Ring. That does not get me there this turn, but is still probably going to be worth playing out. Now a 0-cost artifact gets me there. Yeah, I am fine eating these prismatic endings now before I start doing any sort of actual combo. Ooh, I forced my opponent into a situation where they just, like, raw Teferi minused. Okay, cool. Show me another counterspell. You have 2 cards. Ooh, yeah. So let's draw. It's just a city for now. That's fine. Next turn I can probably literally draw and play my entire deck with, like, Paradox Engine and Mox Opal to start it off and the One Ring. Okay, yeah, you can
Unless he
find a cantrip with
fucking
that. That's
Force of Wills you
okay
again.
with me. Yep. So,
Snapcaster.
what am I afraid
Mage.
of? I guess a very, very, very large... I don't know, the Ring's indestructible. Meltdown is never going to get that. I mean, there's weird things like Cast into the Fire my opponent could be playing that could exile the One Ring, but otherwise I think I'm good. I'll lose my life. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But can cast Defense Grid before Paradox Zone. I'm going to go ahead and just draw my cards now. Cool. I'll go ahead and start here to just make interaction harder. Okay, that got a counterspell, leaving my opponent with 1 card, which probably means that they are dead. So I sacrifice the Old City of Traders, take 2, cast Paradox Engine. Now I get to untap my One Ring. I'll always yield to this. And this is where the fun begins. So, draw 2 cards, float a mana, cast Mox Opal, untap those, make a mana with Mox Opal, draw 3 cards with the One Ring, keep this Mox Opal, 3 mana, play a Basalt Monolith, untap all my things, and this is the point where my opponent is not deterministically dead, but should be dead. So, make some mana, draw 4 cards. Yep. Absolutely disgusting. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, which is, in my opinion, the best Magic the Gathering website for hosting your deck list.
Damn, bro. That is pretty wild, I'm not going to lie. It's a pretty wild deck. But might have to try to make that in Cockatrice. Just have some fun with it. Alright, I'm going to go eat. And then I'll actually be on Enlisted in a minute. Peace out.